Peter, but now to Judge Andrew Napolitano, the Fox News senior judicial analyst. Politics at a moment, Judge, but let me go to your expertise first. The ruling here goes in favor on the individual mandate of the president, as Chief Justice John Roberts rules that mandate to be a tax, not a penalty. Tell me and explain to everybody, as simply as you can, the distinction.
There actually is a restraint put on the ability of the Congress to use the Commerce Clause and tell people what to do. And that restraint is this. Congress can tell people what they may not do, but it cannot force them affirmatively to do things. We now know that's the law because that's the decision in this case by a 5-4 majority.
Right.
But we also know that Congress can tax and spend on anything it wants. So the check on the taxing and spending is what the people will elect members of Congress to do. So because this collects money from taxpayers and spends money on health care for them, Congress is permitted to do it. But can Congress independently force you to eat broccoli, to use Justice Scalia's famous example? No, it can't. Why can't it? Because the Commerce Clause doesn't authorize it to do so.
So you would have ruled in the...
Well, I would have joined Justice Kennedy and Justice Scalia, Justice Alito and Justice Roberts in the dissent. This is unconstitutional in its entirety because the practical effect of this is to force you to engage in interstate commerce by buying a product you might not want, might not need, and perhaps can't afford, called health insurance.
That dissent, and you mentioned Justice Kennedy, not every, but most Supreme Court observers assumed that he would be the swing vote in all of this. If we got a 5-4 decision, that it would be Kennedy in the side of the majority. It was the exact opposite. It was the Chief Justice John Roberts, 5-4 in the majority.
I myself plead guilty to having fallen to that assumption.
And he was aggressive in his dissent.
Yes, he was. He was. But I must tell you, Connell, having been there, not on the Supreme Court, but in a trial court in New Jersey, but a life-tenured position nevertheless. When you put on that black robe and know you can wear it for the rest of your life, you suddenly are divorced from the forces that caused you to get there. You don't feel beholden to them. You feel utterly liberated to do what you think is right.
Well, isn't that...
I'm not suggesting that John Roberts was wrong, though I would not have agreed with him on this. There's a lot of subtlety and nuance in this. But I am suggesting that the ability to predict how a justice will vote on the basis of the justice's track record before he was on the bench, or the values of the president who appointed the justice, simply isn't there anymore.
Well, isn't it interesting, we're going to go here in a second so we get Romney's comments, which are coming soon from what we understand, Mitt Romney, that Justice Roberts, in ruling the way he did, with all the presumptions going in, that this is a political court and that somehow, as some people had written, the Chief Justice had it out for the president or whatever, that maybe in some strange way, as you remove yourself from this over time, added to his credibility as being a nonpartisan voice and Chief Justice.
As I said on our sister network a few minutes ago, sometimes the Supreme Court thinks like the Vatican. They think in terms of generations or centuries and not in terms of the politics of the moment.
Not like
Chief Justice Roberts is thinking about how is this going to be viewed in the future? How will lawyers and judges and legal scholars as yet unborn interpret this? Will they think that we ruled because of the politics of the moment, or we did the right thing for the Constitution?
We got to run because Mitt Romney's coming up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Always the judge, as always. Great.